All right, beautiful. We are live at the moment, and we have some viewers already joined. We'll probably give just one more minute for everybody else to join. And in the meantime, I'll just put some spotlight on our speakers. Wait. Do we have Tanya? Not yet. Well, as soon as Tanya joins, I'll put a spotlight on her as well. But hello and welcome everybody who is joining us today and who is then watching the recording afterwards. We're talking today about the people powering our data centers in a kind of wider sense, not just data center operations, but way wider. My name is Elena. I'll be your host for today. We have 1 hour. We have packed agenda as usual, and we'll talk. We'll introduce speakers. We'll talk about the roles in data center, the data center life cycle, and then kind of day in life from our speakers and their careers and what is it they do and what kind of roles they have. And then we'll open for Q&A. I wanted to kick off with mentioning that this is a Data Center Academy presents. So Data Center Academy has a mission to ensure every person has access to technology, skills, and opportunity to pursue in-demand jobs in a changing world. As a program, the Data Center Academy is built on 5 core pillars. We partner with local community colleges or vocational schools, which are based in our data center communities. We work with on curriculum alignment. We support scholarships and funding for those schools. We build simulation labs like mini data centers in our schools, and we support mentorship and work experience, so hiring interns and apprentices to our data center operations, and not only. Now, today we have 5 brilliant speakers, maybe 4. Let's see if everybody can join. And we'll start with, so we have Fabio, Maria, Ashley, Tanya, and Hernan. And we'll start with Fabio because Fabio is very busy, but also he's on holidays. So he's joining us today from holidays. Thank you so much, Fabio.
No problem.
And we'll only have like 15 minutes or so, right, to stay with us, which means that after I talk a little bit about the data center life cycle and the roles, and Fabio introduces himself and talks about himself and the careers, we will have that moment open for Q&As for Fabio, because he will not be able to stay with us until the very end.
I appreciate it, Elena. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Fabio, for joining from holidays. Do not expect same thing from me. I'm never going to do that, but thank you so much. All right, so I wanted to kind of from the high level, talk about the data center life cycle. And majority, like we've had these types of events throughout October. We've had an introduction to Day in Life of Data Center Technician and Diet. We had an introduction to data center to a day in life of a critical environment technician, the point of view of hiring managers, mostly from data center operations as well. And we can talk about operations forever, which is great, and we will continue doing that. However, we wanted with this session today to kind of give a little bit of a sneak peek to massive amount of other roles which are part of the data center team at Microsoft. Everything starts with planning and delivery. Everything starts with where is the next data center supposed to be? Where does the business need that? So all of that's the roles that are involved in that stage is end-to-end program managers, schedulers, and planners, and millions of other, well, not millions, okay, hundreds of other roles. We then move to acquisition, so actually kind of acquiring a piece of land, whether that's a buy or a lease. There's a lot of land specialists. There's a lot of program and project managers. We then move to design. There's a lot of design engineering, design management, due diligence, program management, and cost management. So basically, how the data center will look like, what it will be, and then we move to procurement. So what needed to build and operate that data center, what kind of equipment. So we'll have quality engineers there, we'll have procurement managers and PMs, we'll have QS PMs, etc. And these are only like high level, just 2 or 3 roles, and there's actually a vast amount of roles. Then we move to construction. So there's a lot of people within Microsoft that are managing construction, environmental health and safety, QA, QC, and commissioning management as well. We getting closer to the operational part, and we have built out, so build program managers, telecommunications PMs, and data center technicians that are starting to kind of get into the soon to be open data center and see how things are getting ready to be operating. And then we get the lights on, the operations, support of our customers, etc. And then the last kind of it's supposed to be a circle here, but anyways, it's kind of a line. And then decom, which is decommissioning, which is kind of the next part, the next step of the life cycle. So I just wanted to give this high level overview, saying that when we say data centers, it starts way before the actual operations of a data center. And there's a lot of interesting, really amazing career opportunities and roles, which a lot of people might not even think about when thinking about the data center industry or data center companies. But actually, there's a lot of cool roles that a person can consider. So with that, I'll just move Fabi to yourself, and floor is yours. Tell us more about you.
Thanks for the introduction, Elena. Well, I joined Microsoft 1 year and a half ago, more or less. I started in the organization as a DCPM. I'm coming from the telecom industry, where I developed most of my career for the previous 25 years. But because I had a lot of experience in telecom operations, I moved into DC operations as DCPM in April 2024. And 6 months after I joined the organization, the person who was my manager, the SOM in the data center where I'm working right now, actually, left the business. So the position became open, and I decided to apply to the SOM role, and I was successful on that. So in my current role, I don't have a huge experience, I have to admit. I've been there for less than a year. So next December 1st will be my anniversary as SOM in the campus I am managing. And so far, so good. The experience I'm gaining is huge. The team I have to rule, which were my previous colleagues when I joined as DCPM, are amazing. It's a team which that's really what helped me to and pushed me to apply to the SOM position, because I really noticed when I was at DCPM that they were great people, a lot of talent people with a lot of experience, and very nice. And that is the team I'm ruling right now, and I'm really, really happy to have them as part of the team. Yeah, as site operation manager, which is what well, another important topic. My background as my academic background is engineering. I'm coming from the engineering world. My studies are based in telecom engineering and computer science. So what I was trying to say now is that the site operations manager main responsibilities is the ultimate responsible from DC ops on the site, meaning that under my responsibility, I have duties in logistics and IT operations. That means that I'm managing the logistic team plus the DCT team, and within those teams, we can find DIATs, so logistic technicians, and DCTs, data center technicians, or DCTMs, which in my case I have one person as well in that position, a data center technician manager, that person is responsible to lead the operations of the technicians. And additionally, we have typically we have at least one DCPM, which is the data center project manager. The data center project manager is responsible to organize the delivery of new capacity on the site. Mainly, that is the main responsibility. So organizing, booking, performing the reservation on the site, and ensuring that everything is in place on the day of the delivery. So all the cabling is ready, all the organization of the staff is ready, the organization, the conversation with the lease providers has been agreed to ensure that we have the dock available that date. So in that way, we have a smooth transition from delivery to to operations, which typically is happening the same day. Actually, we have a very clear scope, a very clear OKR, which is the dock to cable time, which is a measurable timing that is taken in the moment that we have the racks in the dock until we have those racks in production. We need to be very, very, very quick, and typically we try to be under 3, 4, 5 hours. So it's amazing because you can imagine what means deploying a rack. Rack is a very heavy piece of hardware that you need to bring from the you need to package in the docking bay. You need to move that piece of hardware through the corridors of the data center up to the dedicated colo space, finalize all the cabling, powering up, and deliver that device when it is powered to the engineering group for the final configuration and everything. So that's what we are called hyperscaler, because we really do that stuff very, very quick. That is one of the things I really surprised me more when I joined this company. How quick we do that part of the delivery. As part of my responsibilities in general in operations, DC operations, we are responsible for the assurance. We are responsible for the delivery to keep the site up and running in terms of the IT, because of course beside us we have our teams in sorry, my mobile is ringing, in critical environment, who is in charge of all the operations related to power, cooling, UPS. Well, they ensure that everything around us is up and running to keep our IT lab ongoing. And so also in our site, in DC Ops IT, we are responsible, as I was saying, to support the breakfast, all the tickets related to the IT stuff is managed by our team. And we do also support the onboarding of the new data centers, which now the footprint in Spain is growing very fast. So we have a lot of activity in that area as well. And that is pretty much what I wanted to say about DC Ops responsibility, IT, SOM, DCTs, DCPMs, DIADs, which is part of my team. So that is a very, very quick summary. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of gaps, but I'm happy to support any query that anyone may have.
Well, I definitely have. First of all, thank you for, now I know what deploying a rack means, because people say deploying a rack for me, like, okay, what does it even mean? But that's great. And the dock to cable timeline as well. And that was really, like, I don't know, but that is really, really quick. So that's really great. So probably my question would be, what's the biggest challenge probably for you in keeping the data center running smoothly every day? What is like kind of one thing that is on top of your mind in your current role that is, okay, so this, if I tackle that, 90% of the 90% of issues are solved?
Yeah. Well, for me, the most challenging thing is to think about things that cannot happen, things that you cannot have in your mind, because at the end of the day, you are responsible to keep the IT load up and running. And there are a lot of stuff that you is out of our control. So in order to ensure that we are prepared for any contingency, we need to test a lot. We need to ensure that insurance programs are up to date. We need to perform a lot of drills because anything could happen and we need to be ready. And that is for me the most challenging part of the work, to ensure that we keep the site up and running even under the most unpredicted things. For instance, I can give you an example. In April this year, we had a power cut in the whole country for 5 hours. It was the first time it happened that happened in Spain, and it was really, really challenging because we need to have for that, we didn't have any kind of drill. No one can even think that a total power cut can happen in a whole country, but it did happen. Fortunately for us, all the backup plans worked perfectly. All the generators went well. We had sufficient gasoline to keep the generators up and running. We had all the system working to ensure the IT load was not affected. But this is that kind of thing that what really challenge us every day. Things that could happen that you cannot know that can happen, and the only thing you can do is be ready. So perform drills, ensure that the systems are live, so perform recurring maintenance activities and so on. That's the only preventive thing we can do to ensure that we can be ready for whatever thing that could happen in the future.
Amazing. That's a great case study, I suppose, the outage that was in Spain, and I'm sure a lot of people are studying that in terms of what's the word, that's redundancy in terms of being ready for those kind of scenarios. Amazing. So if the audience would like to connect with you on LinkedIn, would you be happy to put your LinkedIn in the chat here? Just
absolutely,
publicly, so that you don't have an option to say no. So there we go.
No problem. Will do.
If any questions from the audience, put them in the chat. I'll share them with Fabio. I haven't seen anything yet. And if you need to run, Fabio, thank you so much for today, and enjoy your holidays. And thank you so much for joining from your holidays.
Thank you, Lena. Enjoy. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right, let me move and give stage to Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi, everyone. Good day. My name is Maria Press. I am part of the Data Center Physical Security Infrastructure Delivery Team, a long name there. So pretty much what we do in Data Center Physical Security is 3 priorities. Keep the bad stuff out, keep the good stuff in, and just deliver capacity when the business needs it, right? And why am I saying delivering capacity when the business needs it? I mean, it's pretty simple. If you remember the data center lifecycle slide that Elena just shared at the beginning of the call, data center physical security contributes on every single phase throughout the lifecycle. So we do have security evaluation managers that are part of those engagements when we are going to buy land, when we're doing a site assessment, when we are going to put a new lease contract in place. We also have security design managers that will be working with architects and general contractors to design a full data center, ensuring that security elements and components are captured into the overall data center design. We also have project managers, security project managers, who will be working on the construction space, right, and the build space to make sure that whatever gets designed is actually put in place and implemented, and make sure we test all the physical components and electronic security items on a data center. And we also have security operations managers, right, throughout the end of the life cycle, where the security operations team will be working very closely with the data center operations teams to operate the site, to make sure that we are, as I said, keeping the good stuff in and the bad stuff out. So pretty much we touch within data center physical security, we touch every single aspect of a data center lifecycle. So I would say that there's plenty of job opportunities and career growth opportunities within this field. I've been with Microsoft for a little bit over 3 years. And as you will see on my career journey that I'm going to go over quickly, I am not from the tech environment. I am not from a construction environment either. I am an engineer by training. You will see there that I got a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering back in Venezuela. I am originally from Venezuela with my family here from Spain. That's why I live here now. I pretty much the majority of my career has been in engineering. I've done facility maintenance, optimization, warehouse management. I work in procurement. I work in an EPC, engineering, procurement, and contracting, mainly in Texas. So lived there about 20 years before I actually decided to relocate myself and my family to Spain. Also work in oil and gas, as I said, purchasing, procurement, project management, team lead. So that's how I started managing people, right? At the end of the day, some of the project management skills or capabilities that you gain throughout your career are applicable across domains. So if you're a project manager, I mean, it really doesn't matter if you are delivering a drilling campaign for oil and gas or you are delivering a construction site for data center physical security. Of course, you will have to learn a little bit of the insights, right? But it's really being able to identify what are those core capabilities and being able to implement those across the different functional groups and areas of responsibility. And I did that, right? As you can see there, I mean, it was really the engaging across regionally diverse teams. While I was working in Houston, Texas, I managed technology enablement across multiple countries in Europe, as well as Americas. So understanding what it will take, I think it is important, right? And then understanding who to reach out if you need help or if you have questions is also very important, right? At the end of the day, I always say that one of the things I value the most about Microsoft is the growth mindset, right? We're not looking for somebody that knows it all. We're looking for somebody that wants to learn, that wants to ask questions, that wants to partner and work with others in order to identify what could be done. So that would say that has been the key thing in my mind. And as I said, on my 3 years within data center physical security is really understanding what is the role that everybody plays within data center delivery lifecycle? How do they contribute to each other? Because we do operate as a team of teams, right? How are the dependencies impacting downstream processes and teams? And making sure that, as I said, if you don't know, you reach out, you ask the question, and you are willing to learn new things and challenge the status quo and come up with ideas and suggestions that will innovate as we are on a very rapid environment right now. So I'm going to stop here. That was quick, but any questions, any comments?
I always have questions. So if anybody from the audience would like to ask questions, please put them in the chat. I'm curious, how actually did you get into physical security? Did you know about these types of roles? Did you know about the data center industry? If not, how did you what brought it to your attention? How did this happen?
Not really. And in full transparency, my first interview with Microsoft, I did a self-disclosure and say, if you're looking for an expert on physical security, I can only tell you what I learned on the 3 YouTube videos that I was able to watch before the interview. However, as I said, if you understand the skill set that will be required in order for you to be successful at a role, I think that's the key here. So while I was working in Chevron, actually, oil and gas, back in Houston, I managed regional diverse teams, right? And I was managing many project managers across multiple delivery life cycles, right? So as my comment with regards to really, I had to learn, what are the key items on data center physical security? What do you need? Okay, we need power, we need fiber, we need doors, we need CCTV systems. But other than that, how you plan it, how you understand, all the interdependencies, it really doesn't matter what the actual item is. It's just really having that holistic view on on how things work, and relying and trusting your teams. I do manage individuals. I have a team that from design to installation to PMs. So really making sure that they are empowered to make the technical decisions that they need to make, ensuring that you will make yourself available for support when needed, right? But really, it's just your background is not going to dictate the job title that you're going to have. It will identify the potential career path that you can have, right? But don't limit yourself, because as I said, I've managed projects in the past, I managed people in the past, never managed physical security, and not in a data center whatsoever. But those are things that understanding the overall coordination and what your contribution on it is, you can learn.
Mm-hmm. Transferable skills. Yeah, I think yeah, Ashley was mentioning in the chat the transferable skills, and I think it's a key really for any candidate to identify your transferable skills and be able to communicate, to convey those transferable skills. Look at that. We have a comment from Timothy. As a mechanical engineer, I never thought physical security would be a career path.
I'll make a comment on that, Elena, because, you know, I haven't done mechanical engineer for many, many years. And now I feel myself on meetings, on design review sessions, where I just feel so connected with those mechanical engineers. I'm talking about mechanical galleries and how the design would look like. So I need to hold myself. I say, wait, not physical security, but I mean, understanding what a layout looks like, understanding how the systems are supposed to operate, even highlighting, hey, from a security perspective, I mean, if this system is supposed to perform this way, what could be a potential threat to security in general for that location?
That's brilliant. All right, will you be able to stay with us, Maria, until the Q&A?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, thank you so much. And if you feel like, if you can put your LinkedIn handle in the chat as well, so that people can connect with you. Thank you so much, Maria.
You're welcome.
All righty, Ashley, floor is yours.
Hey there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you may be in the world. I wanted to start off by saying I am Ashley Buchanan. I am a data center technician manager for Microsoft, and I am located in the Boynton, Virginia data center metro, which is in the United States. As a data center technician manager, my number one responsibility are the team members that are in my charge. I work with an incredibly talented group of technicians and senior data center technicians, and they're really our boots on the ground, right? They are our day-to-day operations. They are the technicians that are going out there with tool bags and spare parts, diagnosing what is going on with the hardware equipment that are in our data center environments. They are troubleshooting network connections, replacing parts, handling deployments. Fabio did an excellent job giving that high-level overview of what actually goes into daily day-to-day operations in the data center. And that's what my team manages, right? They are the first line of defense to making sure that the cloud and data centers as we know it stay up and running. It's a position that I am absolutely honored to have. It's incredible to get to work with these individuals and not only see them shine in their current roles, but help them as they try to progress and succeed in their careers as well. My career progression, I was actually a Data Center Academy intern myself. So I started with the Academy in fall of 2020. I landed an internship the following spring, and then was fortunately hired on as a full-time data center technician in summer of 2021. Since joining Microsoft, I have completed my associate's degree that I started probably a decade ago and never got around to finishing. So once I landed with Microsoft, I had that immediate, this is where I'm supposed to be, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and all the pieces started to fall into place. You know, it was easier for me to go back to school because now I finally understood what it was I wanted to do. And I'm actually in the final classes of completing my bachelor's as well. So very fortunate for Microsoft for helping me figure out my path, and then of course providing the educational resources to help me reach that as well. I was promoted to a senior DCT after approximately 2.5 years of being with Microsoft. And I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes I go back and forth on whether or not I put in my very brief stint as a DCPM, because as you can see here, I was really only in that role for about 2 to 3 months. I was a senior data center technician. I was offered a position as a program manager. And to be honest, I really thought that's what I wanted to be. I thought that that was the skill set that I had developed, and I just had it in my head that I wanted to be a PM. I was very fortunate to get to try out that role. And honestly, very quickly realized that it wasn't what fueled me. It was a very fascinating position. There was a lot to learn, but it wasn't something that I really felt like, man, this is what I want to be doing. So I include that as part of one of my lessons learned along the way, to say that changing your mind is growth, right? I could have stayed in that position. I could have not raised my hand and said, thank you, but no thanks. You know, this isn't really the skill set or a spot where I really meant to be. But I did speak up, and I did a lot of soul searching, and wasn't afraid to pivot. I wasn't afraid to say, thank you for this opportunity, but this isn't the one for me. And fortunately, I found myself being able to transition into a tech manager role just a few months after that. So sometimes I go back and forth on whether to include it. But at the same time, I think it's important to include. I think it's important to recognize that you may not all have it figured out your first route, right? You may think that you're heading in a direction and you have this goal of a job or a position just to figure out afterwards that it may not be the one for you. And that's fine, right? That's part of the journey. I'm very fortunate for that time in my life, because now I don't have to wonder. I don't have to wonder, could I have done it? Would I have liked it more than what I'm doing? I did get a chance to do it. So in terms of other lessons, things that I just think are important to tell anyone, regardless of your stage in your career, similar to Maria, my background is not at all in tech. My 20s were a rather grab bag of different things. I was a loan officer. I was an auditor for a Department of Corrections for a prison system. I even owned a restaurant for about 2 years there. So I did a little bit of everything, just trying to figure it out, right? Because I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't have it figured out when I graduated high school, or even at any point in time during my 20s. But I love to be able to say that, because a lot of us don't, right? A lot of us don't have it figured out by that point, and we're kind of met with that invisible ticking clock in our head of where we think that we should have it figured out by this point or by this age. And that's not always the case. And that's one of the things that I've loved about Microsoft is it gave me the space to figure that out. Which leads me into, Maria again talked about this, your skills are more transferable than you think. You may think that based on the experience that you have in life that none of those skills could in any way lend themselves to a data center. And I'll give you a perfect example. Some of the smartest individuals I have met that work for Microsoft are huge car enthusiasts. And you're thinking to yourself, where's the crossover, right? How would you take mechanical skills and be able to translate that into a data center environment? But it's all mechanics, right? And yes, the equipment is slightly different, but there's some overlap there. There's some overlap in that attention to detail and knowing how to take them apart, put them back together, put all the screws back where they need to go and not miss any of those steps. Those methodical pieces you learn along the way. On my team right now, I have a registered nurse who is keeping up with her certifications, but she was a surgical RN. And again, that precision, that attention to detail of being able to follow step-in-step instructions, think on your feet, be able to pivot when a plan isn't going according to plan. So many different things come into play there. And I wanted to also mention that curiosity is a superpower. We've heard it time and time and again, right? Growth mindset is the way to have. You're not going to have it all. You're not going to know it all. It's impossible to do that. But being willing to learn it. Technology is a growing field. Just in the time since I was a technician, our racks are completely different. I considered myself to be a pretty savvy tech back in the day, but could I work on half of the stuff that's back there now? No, because that's how quickly it's changing. And that's why it's so important to focus less on becoming an expert and instead focus on continuing to learn. Because technology isn't going to slow down. And as long as you can keep that open mind and keep with it and know that it's a constant learning process, you really have what it takes to thrive in this environment. Because expertise is a myth. You're not going to be an expert in this field. And I'm going to be honest with you, that was something I struggled with. I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I want to know it all, and I want to know it right now, and I want to be the best of the best. And it's impossible to do that in this realm. Now, you can be experts in very small little facets of this journey, but you're never going to have it all, because even if you do manage to find expertise in one field, that field's going to change, whether it be this month, this year, couple of years from now. So it's letting go of that perfectionism, letting go of I need to be the absolute best, and instead pivoting that mindset to I just need to keep learning. I need to keep asking questions. I attribute a lot of my success to asking questions, to can I come along to this meeting? Hey, I've never seen that before. Can I tag along when you go look at it? Even if it's with different departments. A lot of times, the majority of what they said absolutely made no sense to me, but I was exposed to it, right? I got to hear it. And at some point in time later, it came up in a conversation and I had that excited, I know what you're talking about, at least vaguely. You know, some of those concepts really start to tie in together. So for anyone, regardless of where you are in your path, it's not linear, right? All of us, as you've heard so far, have different backgrounds. Some of us knew very early on what we wanted to do, and some of us have pivoted and somehow magically found ourselves here in positions that, speaking for myself, I never thought that I could be in. I never thought that I had a skill set that would lend me to being a tech manager, or quite frankly, even to Microsoft. So I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful that they pride on self growth and growth mindset and create that space for us to learn and be able to grow.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley. I wanted to ask you a question and maybe put you on a spot. Sorry about that. But so you mentioned the curiosity and growth mindset, and you being a manager, how can you actually spot a curiosity and growth mindset before you even meet somebody on the interview? By the CV, how can you spot curiosity and growth mindset on the resume?
Good question. We look at skills, we look at education, right? What have you done? And for some of us, that's a 4-year degree. Is that an end all be all? Of course not. We all have different things. I saw someone put on a resume one time that they took photography classes. Now, does that have anything to do with this skill set? No, but they were willing to learn something, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be tech focused, but they took initiative to learn something that wasn't assigned to them by a teacher, that wasn't forced upon them by a parent or anything like that. Sometimes it's really easy to see those based on hobbies. You don't just go out there and know how to work on a car, right? That's a skill you develop, and you have to be able to grow and learn into that. So a lot of those skills are easy to spot in those little bitty ways, right? Those little ways that show that they are learning something. And it may not be a tech focus, but it proves that growth mindset. And if they're willing to learn that, they're generally willing to learn pretty much anything.
Yeah. Agree. And put here in the chat, learning proactively, and not rather, instead of being spoon-fed learning and guided. Here's the next thing you need to learn. Like be curious and show that on the resume. Thank you so much, Ashley. Will you stay with us until the end?
Absolutely, I'll be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Tanya, let's move to you.
Hello. Okay. Hey everyone. My slide looks very boring there. I'm so sorry, but I'll tell you a little story. So my background is not tech at all. I am the opposite of techie. I have to ask my kids sometimes to help me turn on my certain device areas and everything like that. So where's the remote? How do I do this? So definitely not techie, completely new to tech. So I am in Microsoft 4 years, or 3.5 years, sorry. And I transitioned over from a completely different industry, which was finance and banking and operations. So completely new to tech. I am currently a global program manager. And I work in the technology and regional expansion team. And what does that mean? It's very much when we go into a new location, we're growing at scale, we're growing rapidly in the data center space. So we're going into a new location. My team would be signaled and triggered, and we would create foundational elements that would set the business up for success in terms of people. A lot of the locations we go into for the first time are completely new to CO plus I. And when we enter into them new locations, we want to get the best talent out there. So we do assessments that allow us to support that mechanism. Things like we'll do a global talent intelligence assessment. We'll work with the likes of Elena on potential opportunities with DC Academy exploration. Some locations we go into, there's literally more sheep than people. So how are we going to fill up this data center with incredible talent? We can't hire sheep. We need to hire the people. So how can we get there in terms of 5-year, 10-year trajectory? So that's what I do. I work on it's called the Frontier team. So it's very much focused on new locations and setting up new business. So it's quite exciting. Every day is a new learning day. We're completely in the midst of learning everything about a new location as we enter into it. I'm Irish, I'm based in Ireland, but my curiosities are global, definitely. And them curiosities are very much around cross culture. So I definitely don't have a background in tech or data centers. I always was very mechanically minded, so I always knew that I did want to go into an area that would be programmatic and problematic. But my background is very much in finance and banking. That history started with college. So I left education, I went to college and I dropped out. And then I went back to college and I dropped out. And I finished a degree, a diploma, and then I started work. But it was an instant regret later on in life. So not having an undergrad was definitely something on my to-do list. And so I actually skipped on years and went back to further education and did my postgrad. So I did a master's. I went back and did a master's actually later on in life, which was in international business. And the reason why I did that actually was a journey completely. I sat down and I knew I wanted to work with different cultures. I didn't want to work on a domestic scale as much as I love the Irish folk. I wanted to work with I wanted to work for a global company. So I needed to figure out how I could get there, what my grow model looks like. And I don't know if anyone knows this tool. It's called the grow model. It's basically you set yourself a goal, you give yourself a reality check, like pinch yourself, I can't do that. You give yourself options, and then you have to have the will to actually execute and do it. So I actually set myself a 5-year plan, and I looked at all my minuses, as in all of my negatives. I had the will to do something, but I knew that I needed to build out a list of opportunities and actions ultimately to get into that situation. And I'll never forget sitting down, and it was just a blank piece of paper, and I just wrote out the grow model. And ultimately, I just said, I want to become a program manager. And that was it. And that was my method. And I actually was a business operations manager at the time. I was very much in the depths of operations. I love operations, absolutely brilliant. But I was curious around strategic program management. And I knew that I didn't have a program management certificate behind me. I didn't have experience. I had experience with operations, but I didn't have experience with programs or projects. So I actually had to figure out, okay, how can I get that experience? So I had to put my hand up to lean into this huge program, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't know how to work project. I was like, what am I doing here? And so step one, I got myself a diploma. Step two, push yourself into a new area or get yourself that experience. And then step three, okay, I'm still working for a domestic company. I'm enjoying it, and I'm now working in a project manager role, but I want to work for an M&E. What do I do next? So I actually went back and studied international business and cross culture, and it was wonderful. It was the best thing that I ever did. It opened so many doors of curiosity, and I'm absolutely obsessed from what food is at your table, from what languages you speak. Like me as a native English speaker. I'm almost envious that a lot of folk I speak to have 2, 3, 4 languages because I'm quite lazy. I do have Irish, I have a bit of Spanish, but it's definitely something that I was always curious about how many people speak different languages. Like sometimes I speak to people in Finland and they're Finnish and they speak 4 different languages. I'm like, wow, that's absolutely incredible. Like how? So definitely went back, did that 5-year plan and I executed. But it took a lot of work, grit, and grind to actually get into that position. And I'll never forget setting an intention. And I actually wrote it out again on a piece of paper. And my friend is into all like she worships the moon. She's like, oh my gosh, like you should, set an intention, and you really believe in it. Manifest this opportunity, and manifesting is great, but you also have to put in the grit and the grind. And I wrote down, I actually want to work for an M&E that appreciates me as much as I appreciate them, and the cultural elements is so key to this organization. I have it written down. It's still upstairs on my windowsill, and I'll send a picture later to everyone. And I said I wanted to work for an M&E, and I did. So I got into Microsoft, and I was so happy, so thrilled, and I'm just so excited to work here. I work with incredible folk in a huge community, and yeah, that was basically my background and my career. So I'll pause and punt for any questions, but just for anyone that's kind of figuring out your success, like it doesn't need to be that growth trajectory, that straight line, like everyone else said, that Ashley mentioned. I can't believe you owned a restaurant. That's absolutely incredible, Ashley. Like, so there's so many opportunities, and like it is a serious squiggly line. So you don't have to have it figured out, but definitely if you write your intentions down, it worked out for me anyway. So yeah, that's me, Elena, in a nutshell.
Amazing, Tanya. It's a great journey, and I think specifically like you come from non-tech and you're working for tech, and I think that's something that we like to repeat time and time again, that there's just so many different roles. You don't have to be tech savvy to be a program manager, to lead the expansion, for example, right, as you do. And I wanted to ask, like, as much as you can share, obviously, but what's the most challenging in that alignment of talent needs or available people and talent in the location with this data center growth goals? What's the most challenging? The existence of the talent, the ability to attract the talent. What's the number one kind of thing that keeps you up all night?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I'll answer that in 2 points, if that's okay, Elena. Point number 1, internal challenges. Point number 2, external challenges. Point number 1, internal challenges. We are in such an agile way of working, yet we have a waterfall mindset. And we know we need to get there. We know we need to meet the customer demands, and they are demanding in every location that we're in. We know we need to get there, but we need to be really agile with our approach. So how do we get that healthy balance? That's probably one of the biggest challenges, but also the biggest excitement areas as we figure it out. So we know we need to get there. We're also running around we're like hamsters on the hamster wheel, trying to figure that out. But again, it's every day. No day is the same. As much as we try and scale and we build repeatable processes, like we always, like for my team, we build repeatable processes. We capture what went wrong, we apply it, and we try and build it into what went right. Isn't an 80-20 model, 80% effective, 20% constantly figuring it out, and then applying that 20%, and then there's always a new learning day. And one of the biggest complexities external is what I see is the happiest countries, and it's an algorithm, right? I'll put it out there. The happiest countries in the world have the most complex business operations entry point. When we go into the first market. So Finland, the happiest country in the world, huge benefits, great benefits, but really difficult to set up an entity ready for business and to operate there. And we have a huge population of employees across Microsoft, and we want to ensure that we're legally compliant to every single country that we enter into. So that's another, it's also a challenge because we have to actually get that into a readable way for Microsoft to adapt to that. Whether it be payroll, whether it be policies, whether it be applications of some sort of legal requirement in the data center space. So there's definitely challenges there, but no day is the same, which I actually really enjoy.
That's really cool. Thank you so much, Tanya. Stay with us. Q&As are coming, but we have a very important speaker as well, Hernan, who is actually training, right? Everybody who is joining our data center operations and making sure that everybody is actually able to deliver the new racks and everything, right? Hernan, tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, good morning, good evening, everybody. Great to meet everybody here. My job is my title is called IT technical trainer, but genuinely I do so many things. It's pretty insane what my job entails because I do teach people on how to do their job. That's one of my primary goals. It's whenever you come into the data center, I'm gonna receive you. I'm gonna be the first person you see. Maybe not at your location, but generally. And what's going to happen is we're going to welcome you to Microsoft, and we're going to give you a wonderful shirt and some computers and get you started. And I like taking people through their technical training, and that's where I'll show you how to open servers, how to look at the parts, how to identify different parts, and um, it's a super rewarding job, and I love it. Um, the other parts of my job are pretty interesting because as a technical trainer, I do a couple other things. So because I can operate the technical side and the soft skill side, they give us the opportunity to make curriculum and training content. So we make videos, we make PowerPoints, we make guides on how to do work generally in the data center. And most recently, I've been given positions as a lead in our projects for new technology. And I'm responsible for, I was the first trainer. It's kind of crazy to say. I was like the first trainer in CONI Microsoft data centers to get hands-on with the new technology that's liquid cooled and AI servers and um, really understand the deployment process and pass that on to everybody else. So I had the chance to play a big role in training people from Europe, from Asia, from the East Coast, from the West Coast, and it's an awesome, crazy job. Um, and as my coworker, my senior once told me, my job it'll take whatever you give it, and honestly, it'll also give you back whatever you give it. And it kind of is a reflection on how life works generally. So yeah, that's my job. It's kind of a crazy fun job. Um, I wouldn't trade it for any other. I do think about like, hey, I want to promote here. I want to go into that position, but if I'm having fun, why change it? Um, it's kind of a weird thing. I remember when I used to work at like I used to work at a pizza shop and I had so much fun. And I would often tell myself, man, like this is so cool. If only they paid us more. And I still have fond memories of it. And I guess that kind of can go into something I do want to talk about, which is my journey on how I got here. Um, so I I've only had experience fixing any computers and servers, kind of addressing the question that's in the chat um, at home. So I had a computer, and sometimes things didn't work. So I just kind of had to Google it and figure out what's going wrong. And when I did that, the more I had to do it, the better I got at it. And it was completely out of necessity. So when I eventually applied to these kinds of jobs, I kind of already had that thought process ready for me and ready for the job. And I'd like to take this moment to kind of go into one of the lessons learned It's the second, the last one, which is everything you've done in your life is relevant work experience. Um, like what I did fixing my computer was relevant work experience. My time at the pizza shop was a work experience that still helps me to this day. I had to learn how to, like, for example, hey, I had to train people at the pizza shop. I train people here. Fundamentally, it's really the same thing. And whenever I have this thing that I can't do because I'm busy over here, I had to learn how to tell people, hey, can you do this? I'm over here doing this. That's called delegation. Delegation is a skill set that is really powerful, not just at work, but in life, because you can't do it all, and nobody should have to do it all. So, um, kind of going back into my experience. So, as you can tell, I started off as a help desk in 2019, and I started school the same year. And funny enough, I ended up quitting both the next year. And I take this as an opportunity to kind of share that um, even though you may have not succeeded in the goal you have, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means it wasn't completed. As you can tell, the next thing I did was fail the CCNA exam. That's a super popular certification within IT. And my wife was so mad at me. And I honestly wasn't. I really wasn't upset. Obviously, I would have liked to pass, but I didn't. And what's funny is what I learned in that process of studying and learning and failing the test, it I learned a lot and it helped me get a job at Amazon. And as a result, it kind of reinforced that thought of like you don't fail backwards. That you don't it's up to you. If you want to fail forward, that's on you. Um like what somebody told me a long time ago, like just because you were denied does not mean it's never gonna happen. Um, in other words, it was likely delayed, not denied. So I just had to keep on pushing forward and not get negated by the reality of, hey, I failed, and that's okay. But I learned a lot, and my knowledge is still applicable to the next job. Um, so I went back to school, and I forgot to write this down. I went back to school and I studied software engineering, and then I dropped out of that program too. But I learned enough that I got a job as a software support engineer at PayPal. And one thing that I realized is when I got here at this job was, wow, like people really care about who you are as a person. And honestly, I learned that anything is teachable, but it's what's harder to teach is being a good person. And that's something I encourage everybody to keep in mind when they're applying to jobs. You're never not good enough. Does that mean do you lack the skills on something? Sure, that's given. And quite honestly, if somebody was fully qualified for a position, they're probably overqualified for it. And they probably shouldn't apply for it. In my mind, I apply to jobs that I'm like 60, 70% good for, sometimes even 40. Um, a lot of the things you learn aren't outside of work, it's in work. So that's kind of a thought process I've had. And then I got a job as an IT trainer at Microsoft, and I'm so happy I did because as you can tell, I'm loving it. However, what's funny is at the end of the road, I just graduated college, and it's kind of a funny thing because typically you would look at this chart and you would put graduating at the beginning. Um, but it's not linear. And like what everybody else has said, this is never going to be consistent. And um, I'm happy I just kept pushing forward and believed in myself. So I encourage you to do the same. Kind of going into one of my biggest points that I really want to emphasize is success is about the process, not the result. I spoke with one of my coworkers, and she was kind of in a sad mood because her work is exhausting and she really wants to move on to a new career within Microsoft. And I was listening to what she was saying, and she's like, yeah, well, I've just been applying and it just hasn't happened, and I just don't feel like I can do it. And And I told her that she needs to, she's valuing the wrong thing. What's valuable is not the outcome, it's the process. And when you continuously perfect the process of doing what you want, the outcome is inevitable. And I was telling her, the better you get your resume and the better you improve your interview skills, the job, it's only a matter of time. And I encouraged her to focus on that and get joy from that. Don't get the joy. Obviously, when you get the job, be happy, but don't think that that is what's going to make a difference, because the job, getting the job, I told her, is a one-time event, but what you did, that'll carry with you forever. So that's kind of what I said. So uh, I'm happy that I get to kind of talk like this to my trainees, because I'm their trainer. So it's a privilege, and I love what I do. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Hernan. I want to ask, how did you articulate the failures? And I'll put like failures because these are not failure. How did you articulate those failures during your interviews? Like, you know, failed on this exam, failed on that, and dropped out. How did you articulate? Did you actually talk about that on your interviews to kind of switch that to actually successes?
Yeah, so I did talk about it. And I talked about both my times when I was enrolled in college but dropped out, and I passed, and I had this exam and I failed, and I went to this other college and I dropped out again. Um, the reason why is because it's up to you if you want to take the power of that event and utilize it. Um, is it uncommon that people fail? No, people fail all the time. They're trying to figure out who you are as a person. And what I realized is that who I am as a person is, okay, this event happened, but what did I do with it? And what I did with it is I used it to my benefit by ensuring that I understood it. And in the interview, when I would talk about, hey, like I just wanted to switch programs, I saw it as an opportunity of what am I looking forward to, not what am I running away from. They want to make sure that they're getting people who are forward thinking, who know what they want and the steps necessary to go attain it. Um, and with that said, I didn't feel any shame, because at the end of the day, um, what matters most is that what are you bringing to the table and who you are as a person. And failures are not a definition of who you are. It's just, I would say it's like the bridge of the story. It's what makes your story yours. So, using your story, actually, kind of a good thing that I just thought about. Learning how to tell your story is super valuable, because when you do understand who you are and how you interpreted it and how you went from there, it's so powerful. And I encourage you to do it, because I had to do a lot of reflection.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We're already over time, but I think I'll just like maybe one question to each person. So I'll start with Maria. What kind of skills or mindset you would say are essential for someone who is interested in the security role in tech? So be that in data center, or not just in tech, but in data center. So when you look, you hire a lot of people. When you look at their profiles, or when you interview, like your top maybe 1 to 3 things from skills and mindset that you consider essential.
Yeah, sure. I think the number one, and we briefly talked about it a couple of times, is curiosity, right? I mean, within the physical security aspects, we are all getting smarter into how technology works, but the bad actors are also getting smarter, right? So it's really looking at being open to analyzing or assessing those threats, being aware of your surrounding. And that is just, you can learn and you can study about it, right? But you have to have that sense of of surrounding of what is happening around you and questioning why things happen a certain way, or is there a different way to do things, right? Because that's how we can identify if in fact we do have a vulnerability or we do have something that we need to discuss and do something about. So in my mind, that is number one. That's number one skill. We also have communication is key. Because as we work as a team of teams, you need to be able to communicate internally within Microsoft, externally with vendors, with contractors, with designers, with architects, with multiple levels of the organizations, right? So being able to articulate the business need and the why it is important, in my mind, it's critical to be successful
Absolutely.
within the data center physical security space.
So look around, but be nice to people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you so much, Maria. Ashley, you were mentioning that so you've grown from the IC individual contributor to a manager, right? So if you were to give a one piece of advice in terms of this growth, right, or progression, I mean, I question the statement that it's a growth because these are different roles. IC is one type of role, manager is a different type of role. So, but anyways, that's my personal point of view. But if you were to give kind of one or two pieces of advice for IC individual contributors who really want to grow into people management, what would that be?
I think one of the most helpful things for it is to understand the resources that are available. When you are an individual contributor, one of the key components of switching into that management role is caring for those folks, right? And not only are you creating an environment where they want to come to work and they're not dreading getting out of bed in the morning and coming in to see you kind of thing, but also equipping yourself, right? They all have dreams and aspirations and goals that they themselves are trying to achieve. And it's so important to remember that. I'm a very self-driven person, right? I have a lot of goals and dreams and things that I want to do, but it's balancing that and making sure that not only am I setting a good example, I get to be that person to say, hey, I did it, I figured it out. I'm sure you can too. But then understanding the avenues and the resources that they have. I have technicians who are wanting to pursue certifications such as CompTIA. Fortunately, I teach those classes for our local community college, so that's a resource base that I have that I'm able to speak to. But even outside of that, even with other certifications, it's helping them along that journey. Some of the best managers I've had since starting at Microsoft had more faith in me a lot of times than I did in myself. And that's the key piece, right? Is letting those know that you do have the faith in them. So if you're wanting to transition into a management role, it's first coming to terms and understanding that is the responsibility of the role, is that your own career growth is now being balanced with you helping the growth of other careers as well. And just modeling the way. That's one of the critical things. It's very easy for me to say, oh yeah, you can do it, but to prove that it can be done is a completely different concept, and it really helps empower me as a manager to be able to help those in my charge, because I have used the educational resources, I have gotten the certifications and used the tuition assistance and all of those things that I can now speak on with my techs as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ashley. And Tanya, program management. It's a big deal. So what would you say as would be like a first step for somebody that is interested in program management? Is that like a certification, PMP, or anything? What would be the first step? Is there like a book or a movie about PMs or anything? What would be the first step?
I think the first step is just obviously your curiosity and putting yourself forward for something. Like a lot of people ask me like, oh, I'd love to get into the program manager space, like, oh, but I'm a bit, I don't know about it. And I'm like, you program manage every day. If you're a parent, you're program managing your kids every day. If you're bringing them to school, and then you're going back to work, and then you're going to get a coffee, and then you forgot the lunch, you have to go back, get the lunches, bring it back in. That's all program, like that's problem statement number one. You forgot the lunch, oh God. I have to go back, bring it back, do it again. Like we're all program managers in our own right. So it's then like, how do you apply them? And that's a transferable skill. You're a parent, you can become a program manager, no problem. But the best advice I could probably give is put yourself out there for some sort of program. Like there's always going to be opportunities in Microsoft. You can create them yourself. You see problems everywhere. And pointing out a problem is one thing, but actually fixing it and just getting that sponsorship and permission to do so. And get that sense of achievement at the end. There's no better feeling than closing a project. There's no better feeling than putting my kid to bed because I'm like, wow, project managed today successfully. A few hiccups, but we got there. So like there's so much merit in getting there. If you're a lover of problems and you're a lover of fixing them problems and getting into the nitty-gritty, diving deep into them problems, again, it's definitely a career aspiration that you should definitely check out, Elena.
Amazing. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, Hernan, so you mentioned, so I've heard about the note today that I think it was from you or somebody else, but that the racks, the servers, and everything that we were deploying even 5 years ago is very different from what we are deploying today. So you as in training, how do you keep those training programs relevant and updated for all of the new hires? If, for example, the new hires joining in January have one content and then there has been like something that changed the tech, and then the new hires in March would like that content is not relevant anymore. How do you deal with that?
That's kind of the fun part is slowly. I've learned that it's important for people to have a good learning experience. When somebody's introduced to something new, the last thing you want to do is shock them. Like the information's already enough. So let's say somebody does something in January and then in February we come out with something new. We're only going to build on what they already know. So I would say they're going to get a more refined training for them. And I think that's a healthy balance. And mentally, as a trainer, it requires us to change documentation. And honestly, as a trainer, we kind of need to know a lot of the tech stuff, but also a lot about how to explain it. So when you're an expert at something, it's kind of easy to make it understandable for others, especially with a trainer personality that can really make things digestible and understandable for people. So that's how I've had to do it, especially for this new technology.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. We're 12 minutes over. Sorry about that, but that was too interesting to close at time. We do have everything recorded, and then everybody who registered for the event will receive an email with all of the LinkedIn links, please, of the speakers, if you feel like sharing, and the recording as well itself as well. I see Angela in the chat, so Angela will be helping us with recording and just releasing the materials. But teachers are custodians for the next generation, definitely. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great rest of the day or evening. It's evening for us here in Europe. Closing the laptop today and saying thank you so much for the day, and let's see what the next day brings us. Thank you, and bye-bye then.
Thanks, Elena. Thanks all.
Bye.
Thank you. You guys are awesome.